Hello, and welcome to Practically Effective. This is a podcast about effects, props, and stunts in various films, and today Will and I are discussing Star Wars, but not the good Star Wars, the bad Star Wars.
Which is most Star Wars. There were more bad Star Wars films than there are good Star Wars films.
Really?
Yeah.
How many good are there? How many bad are there?
Well, the thing is, Return of the Jedi kind of rides the coattails of the other two, I think. I don't think Return of the Jedi is as good as most people think it is.
No, as a good beginning.
It's kind of an alright... It's a good film.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not amazing.
But, I mean, we have the prequels.
Yes. Films of exceptional quality.
Films of exceptional quality. And then we have not one, but two Ewok films. And then, of course, we have the holiday special.
Yes.
So, there are more bad Star Wars films than good Star Wars films.
We also have Episode 7 and Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we rate those?
I mean, I've forgotten about those.
That's how good they are. Got your Episode 7, which is debatable. Yeah. Bit of a rehash, if we're honest. But hey, good fun.
Good fun.
Yes. So, we, being very professional podcasters, have decided for our Star Wars special to talk about the worst Star Wars films we could find.
Yeah.
So, Will, today you will be discussing the holiday special. Mm-hmm. And I will be discussing one of the Ewok movies because
you didn't have.
I could not bring myself to watch the second one. Yeah, we'll get to that. So, and then we've got a little something else that we want to give a try, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Yep.
Because we're doing Star Wars.
Yep.
You're wearing a James Bond shirt.
Yep.
Because we're doing Star Wars.
I don't know if I own a Star Wars shirt.
When you're not allowed to do this podcast.
Alright, I'll talk about James Bond then, the Ewok special.
Talk about the James Bond Ewok special.
Oh, it would have been great.
I'll talk about the Star Wars holiday special.
I'd love it if a James Bond film had a cold open, like the bit they do just before the credits.
Yeah.
And he's just for some reason shooting loads of Ewoks, and it's never explained. That would be brilliant. I'd take that.
I'd go for that, yeah.
I have a now burning and passionate hatred for Ewoks, just so you know. Yes. So, do you want to talk holiday special first, given this is our holiday episode, even though we did Christmas special last year?
Christmas special last
week.
Time.
Oh, no!
Not even weekly or yearly.
We should do a yearly podcast.
We should do a yearly one. That would be much easier.
It really would. I'd have so much time to edit it.
Yeah. But yeah, we did the Die Hard for Christmas.
Last bi-weekly ago.
So it wouldn't even be December when that went out. No, it would be. It would be just into December.
Yeah.
When our Christmas special came out at the beginning of December.
But this is our Star Wars.
Now we're doing Star Wars because Star Wars is coming out soonish. The new episode, Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
It's out this week, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
But then when people are listening to this in the future, it won't be.
It'll have already come out. It's already come out. You have to pretend we are when it was coming out. We have to guess what's going to happen between now and then.
Oh, right, okay.
What big news stories are there going to be?
Well, Donald Trump is a Sith. Well, he does look like an orange Palpatine.
No, he doesn't. I mean, Palpatine is old and frail and wizened. Donald Trump is he's a big guy.
For you. Yep, what other news?
Bitcoin. Do you reckon Bitcoin will have crashed by next week? By now?
Do I reckon Bitcoin will have crashed by now?
Yes.
No, I think Bitcoin will still be on the rise by now.
Buy Bitcoin, everyone.
Yep, buy them all. Hang on, if more people buy it, will it make you more likely to crash?
It depends.
I don't know how finance works.
Economics, everyone. Take an economics class.
Buy Practically Effective coin.
Buy Practically Effective shares. Alright.
So, yes, Will, tell us everything.
Everything about the holiday special?
Yes.
Is very special. Would you like me to basically just talk you through what happens?
Please.
I don't know what happens.
So...
Well, okay, well, before doing this, I had already seen the holiday special once before.
Right.
I know still haven't seen the holiday special, so that needs to be forced on you.
I've seen some clips on the internet, but not much. I could tell you some things happening in it.
Basically, I was about to watch it. I sent someone a message on the Skype.
Yep.
The same person who did our artwork,
actually,
saying, I'm about to watch the holiday special. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm up to this. I don't know if I can make myself do it.
Yeah.
And then she offered that she would watch it with me.
Oh, really?
So I had company while...
Oh, that's good.
I had some moral support. But it's such a strange idea.
Yeah. Tell me the idea. What's the basic plot?
Implying there's a plot. Okay, here's what happens. So it kind of is the holiday special, not the Christmas special, because it came out at the end of November for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Which obviously is an American thing.
Yep.
You and I don't know what Thanksgiving is.
No.
But in America, they give thanks for some reason.
It's because of those great deals they get the next day, isn't it, on Black Friday?
Yes. But there's, like, supposedly some Wookiee holiday. I think it's called, like, Life Day or something.
Cool.
But basically, Chewie and Han...
Yep.
Basically, it's Han Solo trying to get Chewie back to the Wookiee home planet.
Yep.
Which, in the prequels... Oh, I don't know when it was first established exactly, but it's Kashyyyk.
Yes.
And in the holiday special, they don't refer to it as Kashyyyk.
Right.
At one point, they refer to it as, like, Wookiee Planet 3 or something like that.
Wookiee Planet 3.
Yeah, something like that. Or Wookiee Planet C. Whatever. But it's basically about Han Solo trying to get Chewie back to his family for Wookiee Life Day. It focuses mostly on Chewie's family rather than Chewie.
Right.
And then occasionally there's like a shot of Han Solo and Chewie in the Falcon, and Han Solo going, "Don't worry, we'll get you back for Life Day," and there's some TIE fighters shoot them. And then it cuts back to the family doing ridiculous shit.
So, Han Solo? Harrison Ford?
All of them are like main cast in it except for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Because it's set after Episode 4.
Is Darth Vader in this?
Darth Vader is in it. And it's the first time that James Earl Jones was credited with the voice.
Oh, okay. He wasn't for Episode 4?
Apparently he wasn't credited with it in A New Hope.
Huh. Well, there you are.
But yeah, so all of them are in it except for Ewan McGregor.
Alec Guinness.
Alan McGuinness, whatever. The
Yeah.
guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original.
Yep.
He wasn't in it because he was the only one who apparently had the sense not to be in it. Harrison Ford is in it, but he was like really reluctant to be in it. They had to really drag him in. He's also the only one. He's also the only actor who seems to actually put in any effort. Carrie Fisher, I'm fairly sure, was hopped up on drugs during the entire time.
Oh dear.
So it looks like she has no clue what's going on.
So what were Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker doing on the quest to return Chewie to Wookiee Planet 3?
Well, basically, Chewie's family give Luke a call on space Skype.
Yep.
And they're basically like, Chewie's not here. But that's another thing. All the dialogue is... Most of it's on Chewie's family.
Yep.
So most of the dialogue is just Wookiees roaring at each other.
Is there no like subtitles or narration or anything?
There's nothing.
Oh, good.
So they phone up Luke on space Skype.
Yep.
And convey the message that Chewie hasn't arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luke's like, "Oh, that's bad."
Yep.
And that's basically it.
Does he not do anything?
And then he pops up again at the end, along with Leia. And we'll get to that at the end. But basically, they sing a song, and it just kind of looks like a satanic cult. But we'll get to that.
Great.
So, if I recall correctly, the first scene is so they rip a lot of stuff from A New Hope.
Okay.
Just rip the footage straight out of it.
Right.
And so I'm pretty sure the opening shot is the same as the Falcon departing Tatooine in A New Hope.
Yes, yeah.
I'm fairly sure it's just the same shot.
Good job.
And then they established that they're trying to get Chewie back for Life Day. But then it goes to his family, and it's basically a clip show.
Right.
Basically, you get a bit of his family doing family things.
Right.
And then it goes to some weird, just random clip.
Okay.
So, for
like
example,
what?
I have like a list of all the variety show elements here.
I'm on board.
Okay, the first one that they... Okay, well, I'll give you some examples and then I'll go through them in order.
Okay.
For example, one of them... There's like a random band
Yep.
that shows up and plays a song.
Like a space
It's like
band?
it's an actual band
Right.
called Jefferson Starship. That was the name of the band.
Never heard of
I have no idea how big they were at the time. They have
Yeah.
a fairly extensive Wikipedia page.
There must be something then.
It's very hard. Well, it's not. It's hard to explain because it's so. I don't know if I can sufficiently explain how strange it is. That's what
ready.
I'm worried about.
Go on.
But basically, they go to this family, their Wookiee family. They're like wandering around screaming at each other, as Wookiees apparently do.
Yep.
And the first sort of variety show clip that we get is some weird dancing holograms.
Okay.
Basically, the family is supposed to be, I think it's Chewie's father, his wife, and his son, I think.
Right.
And basically, they're there, and his son goes up to, that like holographic chess set that there is on the Falcon?
Yes,
He goes
yeah.
up to one of those tables. Chewie's son goes up to one of those tables and puts like a little cartridge in it.
Yep.
And you get like a good 5 or 10 minutes of just some like holographic circus performers, like juggling and leaping over bars and things.
Really?
Yeah, and he's
Great.
He's amazed by this. He's like really excited. He really loves it.
How can you tell he's excited? Does it make excited?
Well, he starts clapping and things.
Well done.
But then there's some more family interactions.
What do the family do? Do they just shout at each other in Wookiee?
Yes, basically. And they phone people up on the space Skype occasionally.
Yep.
So they phone one of the people that they phone up is so apparently it was based on the original ideas for the character Lando.
Right.
But he's some trader. Some trader merchant guy.
Yeah.
And he's sympathetic to the rebellion and he's supposed to be helping get Chewie back to his family.
Right.
And they phone him up and basically say, "Where's Chewie?" But they don't say that. They just shout at him and apparently he understands what they're saying. And then he says, "Oh, don't worry, Chewie will be there soon." And he comes up again occasionally.
Yeah.
He pops up. He visits the house.
Great.
But anyway, after the weird dancing holograms,
Yep.
I think that's when they phone up the merchant guy. Maybe they phone up Luke then as well. I don't remember what all of these things happen.
Just some random Skyping.
Then we get the next variety show clip.
Yep.
Which is basically Chewie's wife cooking.
Right.
But she has a space television. And on the space television she puts on like a cook-along show.
Yes.
And there's like a 4-armed alien cooking some stuff, and
Right.
the Wookiee's trying to follow along,
Yep.
and you have apparently it's like, oh look, the Wookiee is trying to do with 2 arms what the alien is doing with 4 arms. Isn't this
And how long does this joke play out for?
I mean, all of these skits, they're all too long. They're all like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
They go on way too long.
Is this aimed at children, do you think?
Well, we'll get to that actually.
Okay.
There's a relevant bit. One of the skits
Yeah.
might address that issue.
Okay then.
But anyway, so I found out the person I was watching this commented on this, and I looked into it, and apparently a lot of the producers and people who wrote it said the same thing.
Yeah.
That skit is apparently supposed to be a parody of some actual cooking show host at the time called
With 4 arms?
Julia Child, who I guess had 4 arms.
Clearly.
Clearly had 4 arms. But yes, apparently that was based on her.
Great.
So there you go. Do you know who that is?
Nope, never heard of him.
Good. Moving on. Oh yeah, then the trader guy shows up at Wookiee's house.
Because...
I don't know why. Oh, he gives the little kid Wookiee a present,
Yeah.
which is like a radio, and he goes along and builds that.
Yes.
And you get a skit about that later. We'll get to that.
Great.
That's not the next skit. The next skit is the one that I said might address your question of whether it's child
For children, yep.
This is... I don't remember... Oh, no, I threw away... Oh, no, I didn't throw it away. While we were watching it, we ranked the skits in order of best to worst.
Yep.
I think this was decided as the worst one. Oh, no. This was decided as the second worst one, because at least this one, you can kind of laugh along with other people you're watching with and laugh at how cringy it is.
Right.
Well, the one that we actually voted last is just... Well, we'll get to that. But anyway, so this one... Okay, first of all, one of the producers, described it as the following. This is a direct quote. He said, "It's softcore pornography that would pass the censors."
What? Is it Wookiee pornography?
Well, okay.
I'm so confused.
Chewie's dad, or I think he's Chewie's dad.
Yep.
This is while the trader guy is there, by the way. Oh no, I think what happens is the trader says like, "Oh, don't worry, I've got something to take your mind off Chewie," something like that.
Yeah.
And then he leads him over to this it's like a VR headset type.
Right.
Do that.
Yeah.
And he puts it on.
Yep.
And basically, he's looking at softcore pornography. So there you go. And he's like, he makes some facial expressions. He gets very excited.
Thank you so much for this one.
So there's that.
Now would be a good idea to ask. No, a good time to ask. Whose idea was this?
So that's the thing. George Lucas basically denies any involvement.
Right.
However, he did come up with the basic idea of basing it on Chewie's family and Life Day. He came up with the basic premise.
Yep.
And it was apparently very firm about that because one of the writers objected to that precisely for the reason that all the dialogue would just be Wookiees screaming at each other.
Yep.
But George Lucas apparently insisted, no, it had to be about this.
He's a writer as well, so his script would have been Chewie's father.
But Lucas denies being heavily involved, but I think he is probably more involved than he likes to admit.
Was his name plastered all over the credits?
No, he doesn't have any
Okay.
credits on it.
So it wasn't directed by him then?
No, he wasn't sort of officially... So that's the thing. He denies being involved in any way, but apparently one of the actors said that Lucas was sent dailies from the set for his approval.
Okay. So what they were doing, he was fine with.
I suspect he was at least complicitly along with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, after the Wookiee porn scene, so there's that.
So not for children.
So that answers your question of how suitable it is for children. Oh yeah, then at this point, the Imperials show up at their house.
Great.
I assume they're looking for Chewie or like evidence of their involvement with the rebellion or something.
Yep.
And basically they come in, and there's like an Imperial officer guy with 2 stormtroopers.
Yep.
And the stormtroopers are like, they're like holding their guns like gangsters hold their guns. They're like holding them sideways. It's very strange.
Why?
I don't know.
Is that what they do on Wookiee Planet 3?
Apparently that's what they do on Wookiee Planet 3. Hold their blasters sideways.
They are the coolest stormtroopers.
They come along looking for Chewie, and so the like merchant guy is still there.
Yep.
And the stormtroopers go and search the house, and the merchant guy says, "While they're searching the house, I've got something you might like." Like, I can't imagine an Imperial officer just like randomly going along with this.
Yeah.
Like, while you're waiting, why don't you watch this video that I've got?
Yes.
And this is the band one coming out.
Right.
He sits the Imperial officer down in front of this like 3D, it's like a 3D film, like holographic projection type thing. And it's just, again, like 5 or 10 minutes. This band just singing their song with their music video.
Is it Star Warsy at all? Sci-fi-ish?
Not in any way, except in the music video they edited it so that their microphones look like lightsabers. That's the only Star Warsy bit.
Well done. Well done, everyone.
So... apparently the Imperial guy is just fine sitting there in what they assume to be like rebel household, sitting there, and he's like smiling about it. He's quite pleased. He's quite happy.
He's thrilled to be watching this
he's
weird
amazed
band.
by this, yeah.
Yeah.
What happens after that? So then all the Imperials go upstairs, and we get the one decent part of the film,
Okay.
which is the Wookiee kid sits down at his like video player, and he plays a little animation.
Yeah.
And it's basically the introduction of Boba Fett.
Okay.
And it's like a little 10-minute animation.
Yeah.
It's got like the animation style is pretty terrible, to be honest.
Yep.
Like everyone has very strange faces. R2D2 looks like he's made out of like some sort of gelatin. He's like wobbling around. Well, it's actually not too bad, and it introduces Boba Fett.
Yep.
It's pretty decent, you know. It's not great,
But an animation.
yeah.
So it sounds very made for children.
Perhaps. I mean, they did say about the softcore porn, the whole thing about they wanted it to pass the censors.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know why they put that. I don't know why they put any of this there. But yeah, they have that animation. That's pretty good. That's pretty decent.
So what does Boba Fett get up to?
He captures Han Solo and co, and then they escape.
Great.
That's basically it.
All right.
Yeah.
You've summed up an amazing story. Why didn't they tell that story?
And they should have just made the whole thing the extended version of that animation.
Yeah.
And that would have been okay.
But every 10 minutes they watch a screen with like a band on it.
Yeah.
They have to stop whatever they're doing.
Oh, so at this point the kid has started building his little radio that he got.
Yep.
And this is the next skit is the instructions on how to build that apparently are not. It's not like Lego instructions where you get like a nice pamphlet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a video instruction.
Right.
And the skit is basically the thing you're supposed to find funny is
It's that cook with 4 arms.
it's not that cook with 4 arms. The company that makes the radio just makes like all sorts of electronics and things. Basically, the video is like really badly put together.
Right.
And it's like the video cassette or whatever is kind of breaking, and it's supposed to be like, it's a electronics company, but the video that they made is not working.
That is
isn't
truly
that just
hilarious.
hilarious? But it goes on for way too long. It goes on for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
And it's basically just 10 minutes of a guy giving some instructions and occasionally like stuttering. And you're supposed to go, "Oh, look, he's stuttering."
Yep. Does
That's
the kid build the radio?
He does, yeah.
So it's fine.
So it's fine. But that one was the one we decided was worse. We decided that was worse than the porn one. Because the porn one you can at least laugh at.
When this is just
This
dull.
one is just dull. After that bit... Oh, yeah. next skit, the lead up to the next skit is there's like a transmission comes through on a space Skype
Yes.
to the Wookiee household,
Yep.
and it says that the following is compulsory viewing for all Imperial citizens everywhere in the Empire. And then the next skit is what comes up on the screen,
Yep.
and it's a cantina like the one in Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
And it shows the cantina gets shut down by the Imperials for some reason. I think it's like nearby rebel involvement or whatever, so they shut it down. And all the customers refuse to leave.
Yes.
The host of the cantina sings a song,
Good.
and then all the customers leave. That's compulsory viewing throughout the Empire. You have to watch that. Otherwise the Emperor's going to come and kill you.
What song would you sing to get everyone to leave your cantina?
All I remember is basically she's saying goodbye friends over and over again. But she says the customers won't leave, and so then she says there's like one of those the same type of band that's playing in the Society Cantina.
Yep.
I think they're playing the same song even.
Yeah.
And she goes over, she says like all the customers are refusing to leave, and she's like, okay, we'll have one more song and one more round.
Yep.
And then you have to leave.
Yep.
And she sings that song, gives everyone drinks.
Yep.
And then they leave.
That's amazing.
That's it. That bit alone took an entire day to shoot.
Really?
And apparently all the actors who were playing aliens like passing out from lack of oxygen.
Oh no! Good job,
So, yeah.
everyone. Highly successful.
So that's the last skit. After that, Han Solo comes along with Chewie and kills the Imperial stormtroopers and things all around.
Good man.
Then we have the satanic
Song.
ritual at the end.
Yep.
Where basically how Wookiees celebrate Life Day is... I don't know how literally you're supposed to interpret this.
I'm ready.
But supposedly this shows all the Wookiees, they're just walking towards some big glowing white orb.
Yes.
And they seem to go into it.
Yep.
And then they're suddenly all like grouped around a tree.
Yep.
And Princess Leia's there.
Yep.
And she like gives some speech about like how everything's wonderful and we'll work together against the Empire, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Then they sing a song.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're all wearing like that thing is when they're all walking towards this white orb, they're all like wearing red robes.
Okay.
That's what made me think this is like some sort of satanic cult. And they sing that song, and then unfortunately that's the end.
How long is it?
It's an hour and a half.
It's far too long.
It's far too long.
Well, thank you for that, Will. I look
No
forward to
problem.
watching it, I think.
The thing is, there's actually some people who were really famous at the time in it.
Yeah?
Like the barmaid at Los Angeles. The barmaid at Mos Eisley,
Yeah.
who's singing that song.
Yeah.
There's an actress called, I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but B. Arthur or Bea, I guess, B-E-A. How do you pronounce that? Bay, I guess.
We'll go with that.
Bay Arthur. And
Yeah.
apparently she like won a couple of Emmys.
Oh,
And was
dear.
in a famous you've probably heard of the TV show The Golden Girls if you
Yes.
haven't seen it.
Yeah.
She was in that. And she was like a really famous actress.
And
apparently.
she did this for some reason.
She was also in this for some reason.
Good.
There's another guy called Harvey Carmen who was in 3 of the skits who apparently was quite famous as well.
Yeah. Was this...
It was intended to go on to be a television show.
Oh,
It was
no.
intended to be the preemptive.
So was this shown in cinemas, or was it on
No,
TV?
it was only broadcast on TV once,
Right.
and there were no videos made of it or anything.
Yeah.
Which meant that until YouTube came along, it's on YouTube. That's how I watched it.
Yeah.
But it meant that until YouTube came along, it was like very rare. It was
Okay.
very difficult to get hold of because it was only shown on TV once, and it was never released on video.
So it was only people who taped it at the time.
Only people who taped it, and basically the only copies you could get were copies of people
Yeah.
that recorded it. So it was
I
very
see.
hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's on YouTube.
Any of you lucky snucky people can go out and rush out and watch the Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So there you go.
Any interesting, exciting behind the scenes things that you discovered?
Yes.
I mean, I have several questions, but all of them are mainly why.
Well, as I said, it was the first appearance of Boba Fett, which is like the only good thing about it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the original Star Wars was released in 1977.
Mhm.
This was broadcast in 1978,
Right.
which means that people would sit down to watch this. Their only experience of Star Wars being the fantastic original,
Yes.
and they sit down and think, right, I love that Star Wars film.
Yeah.
I hope they can live up to it with this TV show, and then they bear witness to that.
Did people like it at the
No.
time?
That's why it was only broadcast once and never
Yeah.
released on video.
Great.
George Lucas said that if he had time, he would go around and destroy every copy.
Do you think that the original copies have been destroyed at Lucas's request?
Possibly. Well, they said he tried to buy all the master copies and failed to do that. So presumably there are still some in existence.
Oh, yes. I don't know why I want this to come out so much. It sounds the worst.
Oh, yeah, like I said, they used various snippets of film from the original Star Wars, as well as some unreleased footage of that.
Yeah?
There's a scene of Darth Vader talking to some Imperial officer that was put in, that was originally in the original Star Wars.
So, yeah, where was that? Was that before the Imperials came into Chewie's house?
Oh, it's like Darth Vader saying to some officer, "Oh, you have to hunt down these rebels."
Yeah.
That's it. It's like 10 seconds long. Oh, yeah. So we had an idea. So it was me and the person who does the art.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend joined us after half an hour of watching it. So basically there's a bit where the merchant guy, he's in his shop, and some Imperial guy walks in, and it's supposed to be like, "Look at the big bad Imperial guy," and he basically steals an aquarium. No,
slow down.
It's not an aquarium. He tries to sell him an aquarium.
Yeah.
And then he sells him what I assume was a mustache brush, which he steals.
No, slow down here, slow down.
No, I believe I've been perfectly clear. The Imperial guy walks in, and the merchant's trying to sell him stuff, and one of the things he tries to sell him is he calls it a pocket aquarium. Right. It's like a little tiny glass box full of water. And then the Imperial officer guy goes, "I don't like fish." And then he tries to sell him what looked to me like a brush for a moustache.
Does the Imperial officer have a moustache?
That's what I'm going to talk about. He does have a moustache.
Yes.
And see, he tries to sell him this brush, and the Imperial officer just goes, "I like this brush," and then just walks off with it. And it's supposed to be like, "Oh, look, the Imperial, Imperials." But we decided that there's like a moustache Freemason society in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And basically, the more tidy your moustache, the higher up you are in this organization.
Fantastic.
That was backed up by the animation section. Yeah. Well, as I said, the animation was not the best quality, and the stormtroopers there have the fronts of their helmets come forwards a lot. Yeah. So we decided they must have moustaches under there.
Clearly unkempt ones.
Yeah,
they're such a low rank.
Unkempt moustaches. Oh yeah, more in the spirit of foreign language titles.
Yes.
In Sweden, it's called Star Wars and Peace.
It's alright.
Which I guess is supposed to be war and peace. That's supposed to be the idea.
You've gone up in my estimation, Sweden.
Oh, you said why?
Yes.
This is the answer to that question.
I'm ready.
One of the writers has admitted that he was using cocaine heavily while writing it.
Suddenly things make more sense.
Yeah. There's not much in the way of effects in this.
No.
But I have a couple of little things.
Go on.
The R2-D2 they used was entirely remote-controlled, unlike in the films, where they had a remote-controlled version and a version where the guy would sit in it and walk around, Yeah. I talked about the alien actors running out of oxygen.
Yes.
Apparently the Wookiee actors could only be in their suits for about 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
And then they had to get them out.
Do the suits look any good?
Apparently they worked on them to make them better than the ones that were in Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
But to me, they look worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, here's actually quite a fun fact. So to get the Wookiee noises, they basically recorded animal noises essentially from zoos and things. And one of the recordings that they took was of a lion eating a cow's head.
Okay.
And that was later on used. That sound bite was used in Alien.
Oh, really?
So there you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the alien speaks Wookiee.
Yeah.
Oh dear. It always amazes me about these films. For this to have been released on television, a writer must have sat down and written it, and at the end of the day thought, I've
done a good job here.
And then he must have submitted it to the studio, and they must have read it and gone, it's pretty good. And then they must have sent it to the director, and he's gone, I can see this. And then they get hundreds of people together on a set, and they all act it out, and all of them must have been like, yep, we've done good work. And then the editor sits down in his booth, and he takes all the clips, and he puts them in order, and he's like, you know what? That is what I've been aiming for. We've done it. And then he sends it off to the broadcasters, and they watch it, and they're like, this should be shown to everyone on the television. There's like 6 boundaries that it has to get through, and no one realised it's the worst.
Ugh. So Carrie Fisher has a copy,
Yes.
which she got from George Lucas
Uh-huh.
in exchange for doing audio commentary on episode 1 DVD.
Yeah.
Apparently she shows it to people when she wants them to leave her house.
That's the impression I'm getting of
Yeah.
this. It just doesn't makes you not want to watch
Yeah,
it.
it makes you just want to get as far away from it as possible.
I want to watch it just so that I
No,
can
you don't.
say I've watched it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to just say
The person I watched it with has now seen it 3 times. She's a veteran.
a hardened
A
veteran.
hardened veteran.
Have you anything else to say? Any other personal comments?
Nothing I can say can... I don't have the words to describe my feelings towards this film.
Did you?
But like I said, I very nearly just didn't bother watching it again. There's nothing else I've done for this podcast where I've had to really drag myself to watch it. I really didn't. Had that person not offered to watch it with me, I probably wouldn't have bothered. I
Yeah.
would have just said, screw it, I'm
So,
not watching that.
It wasn't
garbage.
even fun watching it with
It's
someone
not.
else.
Oh, when you're watching it with someone, you can laugh at the ridiculousness of it and basically share each other's pain. But it's,
Yeah.
it's so terrible.
We say that Death Race and Running Man are bad, but they're not on this level, are they?
But again, like, they're enjoyable films.
Yeah.
They're bad films, but they're enjoyable
They're
films.
great fun.
You know?
Well,
Ugh.
on the vein of things that are very difficult to watch,
Right.
I watched the first Ewok movie.
Which one is that? Caravan of Courage?
That's Caravan of Courage.
Oh, I love that title.
So good. Never at any point is it said in the entire movie.
That's sad. We don't have a holiday special set in this either.
No.
Nobody says it's so good to be here for the holiday special.
Alright, well, I'm going to take you through this mess. It's again made for TV.
Yeah.
A little trivia, and then I'll take you through the story.
Alright.
George Lucas said, where is it? After the embarrassment that was the holiday special, Lucas assumed full control over production to ensure a film of good quality. I'd like you to judge, Will, whether this sounds like a film
Of
of good quality.
I like how this is George Lucas trying to say, look, when I let other people do it, it's bad, but when I do it, we get good quality films. And then this comes out.
Well, bear in mind that what I'm about to read to you happened in over an hour and a half.
Right.
And
When did this come out?
Felt like 2 days. 84, I think.
Oh, so that's after episode 6 even, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it was. Because there was such a positive response to the Ewoks. Presumably. So, here's the premise of the Ewok movie. A starship has crashed on the moon of Endor.
Yeah.
We finally start our great and epic journey with 2 parents who are running around this starship.
The Ewok parents.
No, they're human parents,
Okay.
fortunately. And they're looking for their children, who have dumb names. So for the rest of this, I'm just going to call them brother and sister.
Right. What are their names? Just say them once.
Oh, I didn't even write it down.
Oh, okay.
One of them is, I think one of them is Mace. Or
Mace
Morse, or something. He's not Mace Windu. Definitely not. And the kid has a name that they kept saying, and every time they said it, it sounded a bit different. So I couldn't work out what it was. But yes, so they're looking for their children. They're running around the starship, calling their names, shouting them very loudly, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, oh no, we'll never find our children. And then something takes them. A tragedy has struck Will.
Does the interior of the ship look as good as they do in the films, or does it look like it's made of fucking cardboard or
It's
something?
very much like a set. But
Okay.
they're on the outside of the ship at the moment, right?
Okay.
So then we cut to... So we've just had, like, these parents have suffered a great personal tragedy of the loss of their children.
Yeah.
And then they've been taken by some monster.
Yeah.
And then we cut to an Ewok in the middle of the day, and he's standing on a log tooting a little trumpet.
As they do.
And the narrator narrates, and he says,
Deej, his sons have gone into the forest, and they've not coming back, and he's very
Wait,
worried
is
about
this-
them.
Narrator, like, fourth wall breaking, or is it somehow supposed to be in the
he's...
film? Like, is
Yeah,
it,
he's
like,
telling you what's going on, basically. Except... Okay, a lot of things happen in here that make no sense.
Right.
He doesn't tell you. He's not a helpful narrator. He'll be like,
This Ewok is wondering where his kids are.
but when the friggin' lizard turns into a mouse, he's not there to give you any explanation. Okay?
I'm looking forward to that.
So, yes, the Ewok, and he's lost his children, so he goes and he gets in his Ewok hang glider.
Wait, the Ewoks lost his children as well?
Yes.
Everyone's lost their children.
People are terrible at looking after their children in this
They're all
movie.
terrible parents in this film.
So he goes up to his hang glider, and there's a hilarious scene where the hang glider is tethered by a rope, and he gets in the hang glider and tells his son to undo the rope, and then a goat eats the rope, and the hang glider launches, and he's not ready, and it's hilarity. Well, it's the funniest thing that's ever happened. And then he's like flying over the forests, and he looks down, he sees this crashed starship, and he's like, starship. And then he sees his sons down on like a rocky outcrop. He throws them a rope, and then without explanation, he's just on the ground. The hang glider, you just never see it again.
Right, okay.
So the Ewoks start climbing down the rope, and we get our second hilarious rope breaking joke in the first 10 minutes. And they roll down this little hill, and it's hilarious because they're teddy bear people. And
so yours is about little teddy bear people.
Yes.
Mine is about larger teddy bear people.
It's a bizarre theme.
Yeah.
So yes, we've had 2 falling over jokes and 2 rope breaking jokes in the first 10 minutes.
Amazing. High quality comedy there.
And they keep talking to each other in their weird Ewok language. There's no explanation of what they're saying.
Yum yum.
Yeah, exactly. So they're walking...
So again, my one had the problem that they were all screaming at each other. Yours has the problem they were all making weird
yup yup noises.
Yeah.
Basically, George Lucas was like, I'll make a better version of the holiday special by just making it again.
The same, but with Ewoks. So doing it with Wookiees didn't work. You know what people are like?
Ewoks. So they walk him back, and they go via the starship, and they go into the starship because they're inquisitive little Ewoks. And in the cupboards, in the starship, they find like a 4-year-old girl.
Which apparently their parents were unable to find.
The parents were standing outside the starship calling her stupid name. And she,
didn't
in the
answer.
cupboards, didn't come out and see them. And so the Ewoks go and they find the little girl, and they're about to stab her with a spear, and then they're like, maybe not.
Maybe we should not, yeah.
And then they're having like weird cuddles, because they do that a lot in this movie. There's like footsteps outside, and someone draws a blaster, and he steps in, and he's like this 12-year-old bratty kid.
Oh, you know by Stunts on bratty little children in films.
Wow. I'll tell you a bit about him as we go. He walks in and he fires his blaster at like 3 teddy bear creatures with spears.
Yeah.
And then there's a hilarious bit where they grab his arm, they like fling the blaster away, and they just beat him up for like 30 seconds. He's just on the ground and they're kicking him, and it's great. And so the sister is like, don't hit him, it's my brother, he just wanted to shoot you, don't leave him, please. And then they make an unhappy truce or something. It's so terrible. And then so they take them back to the little Ewok village, but the sister's very ill. Well, she's very ill, and by very ill I mean she's lying down saying, I don't feel very well, I miss my mummy.
Missing your mother is not an illness.
So she's in the hammock, and the brother is like, we have to make her better. He spends a lot of this film shouting in English at Ewoks. Okay. You need to make her better.
People do in films when they meet someone who doesn't speak the same language as they do.
Just say it
they
louder.
They think that speaking louder will help.
Yeah, loud and repetition.
Yeah.
So the Ewoks understand.
Apparently.
And they give her some medicine in a leaf, and they just pour it into her mouth.
Because I'm sure, being the highly trained medical professionals they are, they know exactly what's wrong with her and exactly what she needs to cure it.
Yep. I've just written here, 2 Ewoks have a fight for some log-based reason. I think that was the 2 sons that were rescued at the beginning, and they fight. I can't remember why, but there's another bit where they just push each other to the ground and then kick each other for a bit. Oh yeah, and then they have to go on a quest to find some more Ewok medicine, right? Because it worked so well last time that the sister still needs a lot more of it. So they drag the brother along.
But how did they like? Presumably the Ewoks didn't say, "Hey, we need to go get more medicine."
It's again. He says something. He's like, "She's still sick. She needs more medicine. Yeah. More. Do you understand me? More medicine." And then the Ewok goes over to his little counter and he gets the bowl and he waves it around upside down.
I see.
And then this brother goes, It's all gone? Do you mean it's all gone? The medicine's all gone? And then the Ewoks go, yup, yup. And they grab their spear, and then they They set
The
towards the
person
door.
who moments ago was trying to shoot them.
Yeah, they head towards the door, and he's like, "Are you going to get some more medicine?" And then the Ewoks grab his arm, and they're like, "Yup, yup, yup, yup." And they're like, "Oh, you want me to come and get some more medicine?" It's that for an hour and a half.
Fucking ridiculous.
So he goes along with them, and his great contribution to this is they go over to like a little tap in a tree, like where you get syrup from, and they get some medicine that just comes out of the tree. And he stands there and does nothing. It takes 3 of them for some reason to do this job. And he spies a small furry creature in a tree, and he goes over to it, and he grabs it because he's a jerk, and then just a massive... You know, like the space slug in episode 5?
Yeah.
A mini one of them eats his arm.
Wonderful.
The Ewoks come and hit it with the spears, and then they give him a judgmental yup yup. Here's a completely out of context piece of dialogue, which I shall read for you.
Wonderful.
That is not a Star Cruiser. That is a horse. Horses don't fly. So while they're off getting medicine...
I don't want context.
Okay, I'll leave you with that.
No. I don't know.
Like the little girl is trying to explain to like the main Ewok, but they all look the same, so I couldn't tell about their situation with the Star Cruiser, and he's very confused.
Does she think the Star Cruiser is a horse?
Well, she's like Star Cruiser with her hand waving her hand about, because this is a podcast. I need to not just gesture. And then she said it crashed and smashes her hand into the table. She asked, "Do you have a Star Cruiser?" And he goes, "Yep, yep," but in a positive way. And he runs off, and he gets a small horse. And then he flies it around and crashes into the table, because apparently that's what horses do on the Forest Moon of Endor. They fly and then face plant into tables. So in the middle of the night, when the girl is feeling better, all right, these Ewoks have done lovely things for them, fed them and kept them safe. The brother wakes up his sister and says, "We need to leave. We'll find Mum and Dad. It'll be great." The sister says she doesn't want to leave, and she doesn't care if she doesn't see her parents again, basically.
What?
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, "I want to stay here with the cuddly teddy bear creatures." Right? Next scene, he drags her out anyway. Next scene, the sister is whinging about how she misses her mum and dad, and how she's very tired and hungry. So presumably they left without getting any sleep and eating anything. They sit down, they light a fire, and there's this very odd scene where the sister is like, "I miss Mum and Dad." And the brother is like, "I'll protect you. I'll be Mum and Dad."
Whoa! No, I don't like where that's going.
And then they're attacked by a large dog. And his protection is amazing.
Yeah.
They hide in a tree.
He has a gun.
He does have a gun. They keep finding ways for him to drop his gun and not be able to use it. But anyway, they attack, and then they hide in a tree right in the middle of the night, and then the creature sods off. And then they wake up in the morning, and the Ewoks are attacking this creature right outside their tree. So either the creature sodded off and then came back to the exact same spot in the morning, or the Ewoks have been battling all night. And I'm talking about a wolf creature that is very large, like much taller than these 2 children, and it doesn't look that good. It's stop motion animated. So the Ewoks are, you know how in episode 6 they have great amazing traps and great guards to defeat the Empire. In this they are waving a spear at it. One of them is just poking him in the nose essentially, and almost getting eaten constantly. And then one of them pulls out like a... There's 5 minutes of this. Again, everything in this lasts for far too long. There's 5 minutes of this great battle. And some of them throw sticks at it, probably. I can't remember. And then one of them pulls out like a blow dart pipe, and he fires one blow dart into this thing, and it just dies.
It falls over. Okay.
Yeah. So then they run over to the massive wolf beast, right? And on the back of this thing, they find the parents' clothes and life monitors, which are like little bracelets that they all have. And their brother declares they're alive.
Wonderful.
Yes. So then we get, I think the narrator possibly tells us a bit of exposition that
if this is the beast, then who is the master?
He's not Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that's...
Sand people walk single file to hide their numbers.
It would have made this much better if the guy just said random facts about the Star Wars universe.
Completely unrelated to what's
Yeah.
going on the screen.
Where are we?
These blast marks too accurate for sand people.
What happens next? Oh yeah, they're alive. So they go and see the shaman
Yeah.
of the village, and he has a magical spinning top, and he spins around, and the parents are in there, and you see them. They're in a cage, and they declare that they've been captured by the giant Gorax.
The shaman says this
Yes.
in English.
No, someone says it. The narrator, probably. I expect it was the narrator. If I was given some
Can
information,
the children hear the narrator?
no, they must be so confused. Yes, so the shaman is like, they're all very scared of the giant Gorax. I don't know whether it's a giant called Gorax, or whether there's a creature called the Gorax and this is a very big one.
Well, presumably you found out later on.
Well, they say it's the giant Gorax,
Yeah.
right? So does that mean he's a giant and his name is Gorax?
Oh, I see.
Or he's a very big Gorax, which is a creature. Couldn't tell you. He's a giant, though. He's real
The
big.
big, yeah.
So the shaman just declared, like, in like a Lord of the Rings kind of style, they decide that they'll form a team and go to Mount Doom and beat the Gorax and save the parents and throw them in a volcano or something.
What the parents in a volcano?
I'm mixing my films. So they form the Caravan of Courage, which is never said by name. And the shaman dishes out totems, right, to each of these people.
Mm.
He's like, right, to you Ewoks, I give you these feathered caps give you wisdom and stuff. You can have this magical enchanted walking stick, sir, and you can fire lasers with it, probably. To the little girl, he gives her a candle of everlasting light, so when you light it, it doesn't burn down, which is great. And to the brother, he gives a rock.
Wow.
Not a magic rock,
Just a rock.
just a rock. Who, to be fair, he did try and kill them when he got there. So, I think he
doesn't
deserves.
want to give him anything too powerful.
Yeah,
He might turn against them.
so he gives him a rock. And 45 minutes into this, they finally set out to save their parents. Oh yes, also, the shaman gives them 2 other totems, right?
Mm.
And he's like, you're going to meet 2 other Ewoks in your journey. If you don't meet them, your journey will fail and your parents will be killed.
How does the shaman convey this
The
information?
narrator says it. This film, again, it's very much like an Ewok will go yub, 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 and point to a crystal, yub, 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 and point to a tooth. And the narrator will go,
The shaman says that if these 2 totems are not shown to their masters, they will never enter the land of the Gorax or something. God, oh, stupid, isn't it? Go and watch episode
And
4.
somehow the people just understand.
Yeah.
Nice.
it's either that, or it's like, do you mean we have to meet 2 other people? So obviously, I can imagine you're filled with a sense of dread and fear that they may not find these
I'm
2 other
just
people.
Hooked on the sense of drama and action.
Well, they all load up supplies, and the Ewok village is like, see you later, have a great trip to that land.
From which no Ewok has ever returned.
And all the villagers are real thrilled about this trip that they're taking. So they just set out into the forest, and they're getting going, and then a tree nearly falls on them.
A train?
A tree. That would have been a twist, wouldn't it? A tree. They're nearly all crushed to death by a large tree, right? An Ewok with an axe just walks over, has a look at his handiwork, and then the boy, after like a significant delay, is like, "You could have killed us!" And the Ewok just grabs his nose and like ruffles his face a bit, and then just wanders off to see the other Ewoks.
Wonderful.
And one Ewok gives him a tooth.
Okay.
And the guy is like, he has like a skull hung around his neck. And this woodcutter Ewok, as I will call him for the rest of this episode, because he probably had a name, but I don't have a clue what it is. And the tooth is from the skull around his neck. Well, he must join them on their quest, but he doesn't want to.
Oh, that's one of the 2 people he has to
Because
take
you were
with him.
filled with a sense of drama about whether they find them. They find one immediately. But I don't fully understand how this happens. He doesn't really want to go on their quest with them. So the boy, who really hates this guy because he nearly killed them with a tree, he produces an axe from nowhere. And he's like, you think you're good with an axe? And he throws this axe, and it like lodges in a tree, right? And this Ewok is like taken aback. Like, you dare challenge me, sir? He produces his own axe, and I bet you can't guess exactly what he does.
Does he throw it and break the other guy's axe?
He throws the axe and it pins in the handle of the axe that the boy threw.
Yeah.
And the boy, he's aghast. He cannot believe his very eyes. And then they're best friends.
What the hell?
So yes.
That's how you make friends.
Yes.
Throw axes at trees.
He will join them on their quest now. So, they have one, but will they find the other person? to join them on their
Do
quest
they immediately
to
find
complete
him?
their caravan. Well, they meet a priestess almost immediately.
An Ewok priestess.
The Ewok priestess. And they give this priestess the crystal that they were given. And it's like, I won't go with you unless I give this crystal to that man. So the boy comes on. The boy is... At the beginning of a scene, he's really aggressive towards the Ewoks.
Yeah.
And at the end of the scene, they're all best friends. And then the next scene starts and he's really aggressive again. So she summons him over, gives him the crystal, and he takes it in his hand, and it turns into a lizard. And he goes, a lizard! And then he says, because he's such a cool guy, so what? It turned into a lizard. Big deal. But less blasé than that.
Okay.
He takes the lizard and throws it on the floor, and the priestess is like, no, this will not do.
What?
And then the sister picks it up, and it turns into a mouse. And she's like, please come with us. And the Ewok is like, yes, you have done well. Would you like to know what our narrator has to say about this?
I would love to know what it is.
Nothing. He remains very silent on the issue.
Oh, man.
No, actually, he says, the caravan is now complete. I think something like that.
That would have been a perfect opportunity to say Caravan of Courage.
Exactly, but he
You
doesn't.
missed it.
Anyway, so...
If I had been the narrator, even if that wasn't in the script, I'd have just said it like,
Truly, this is a
the
caravan of courage.
Courage.
It was at this point that I paused this to go and get some washing out of the washing machine.
Right.
Because it was about an hour in.
Yeah.
And I came back to it and I was like, oh, more please. No, I don't
Don't
want
tell
any
me you
more.
didn't even finish
I
one,
did
okay.
finish it, Will, but it was hard. I sat myself back down. I had a biscuit.
Yeah.
I psyched myself up.
Yeah.
I sat me down for the plot to finally kick into gear. And do you want to know what happened, Will? They stopped by a lake. And again, another thing that this brother does is he goes and pokes things that he definitely shouldn't poke.
Yeah.
So he goes over to the lake, and there's 3 minutes of him staring into the lake for some reason. And he gets his finger, and he prods the lake,
As you do.
and he vanishes. But his reflection...
He's gone to the realm of the... What's it?
He's got to life day realm. No, well, sadly it is more traumatic for him than that. His reflection remains. He is now underwater. There's like a good 30 seconds where he's there, like, straggling under the water, and it just cuts the Ewoks, like, swinging in the trees. And, like, his sister is having a good old laugh with the main Ewok. And then they realise he's missing, and they run over to the lake. I'm like, look, that guy we hate.
He's drowning.
Let's just leave. No one need know of this. No, they feel an urge to rescue him for some reason, and they grab a stick and they put it on the lake, and the stick just vanishes. And what they do? And there's like 3 or 4 minutes of them running up and down trying different things to put in the lake, and then the little girl's like, "You use your magical walking stick, and just grab him out of some lake," and then he uses his magical walking stick and he pulls him out of the lake, and this kid who can hold his breath for an abnormal length of time is pulled out of the lake, and he's like, "Thank you, you saved me. Good job." And then I'm like, okay, maybe now the plot will kick into gear.
Does the narrator say anything about the lake? No.
Nope. Oh, no, saddle up, because we've got 3 or 4 more nonsense things that happen before we actually get to the mountain. I've just written some pointless horse nonsense, because that pretty much sums up what happens
You mean
next.
some pointless Star Cruiser?
Yeah, pretty much. They put the girl in a horse.
What?
The Ewoks have, like, a little tent on the back of a horse. It's very confusing.
Okay.
And then, like, they put the girl in the tent, and then the horse is surprised by something, and then it runs off. So Woodcutter Ewok leaps on another horse, and he chases down the horse with the girl on, and he stops the horse, and then he brings it back, and thrills for everyone. They're so happy. The girl wasn't killed by a horse. The Star Cruiser didn't crash face first into the forest. As apparently all horses do. And then, then it's night time and they're having a sleep, and then a big swarm of fairies come. And they're all flying around, and everyone's very happy, and they're sitting up by the little candle that the girl has, and she's thrilled with her candle, and all the fairies fly around, and they look at them, and it's amazing. And then the fairies all fly into the candle, and not incinerated, unfortunately. And they all come out as one little sprite that fits on a man's hand. And then, boy befriends this sprite. And then, what happens next?
What? Okay, that's all there is to say about that apparently.
Another out of context line of dialogue for you. I think she eats giggles.
Okay then. That's why the movie's so terrible.
Just know for every out of context line of dialogue I'm giving you, there's another 5-minute bit where some nonsense happens. Oh yeah, then they start climbing up the mountain, right? They got to the top of the mountain, and then they realise they don't actually know where the cave is that this Gorax lives in. So someone decides that they should use his rock, his magical rock, because...
But you said it wasn't a magical rock.
It's here to help them on the quest. Well, it was given to them by a shaman.
Rock.
It looked like a rock, Will, but not always.
You explicitly said it was not a magical rock.
It certainly doesn't look magical. But, Will, if there's a lesson to learn from this, it's never watch the Ewok movies. And also, it's what's inside that counts. So, he waves his hand around his ear and he's like, "What, I should shake it? Do you think that will solve our problem?" And then he shakes it and he's like, "Oh, there's something in there." And then he throws it into the ground and it snaps in half. And inside, Will, is an arrowhead. So,
good.
He puts the arrowhead on the ground and spins around a bit. And then it disappears in like a tiny crack in the rock because the giant lives in there. So there's a massive rock in front of the cave entrance, Will. So the kid grabs his blaster.
Yeah.
Right? And he fires his blaster at the rock and it explodes into 1,000,000 pieces.
Okay.
So this kid has a gun capable of destroying enormous quantities of rock. Presumably his parents gave it to him.
Yep.
Unless he
And if he didn't use it to kill anything that it might have come in useful so far.
Nope.
Okay.
But yeah, he obliterates the rock. They go into the cave, they climb up some giant stairs. They get to a big old crevice and it has a giant spider web across it. And then they decide to climb across the giant spider web, and you'll never guess
what happens. Does the spider web fall apart?
A giant spider attacks them.
Oh.
This spider web is over a bottomless pit.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, so. That's a common place where spiders build their webs.
Yes. Clearly it is. So they climb across and the spider attacks them and it's...
Does the guy shoot it with his blaster?
Nope.
No? Okay.
The spider looks alright actually. But you can very clearly see the strings attached to its head. And then one of the Ewoks with a magical walking stick, he waves his magical walking stick and...
Nothing happens.
It hypnotises the spider, Will. The spider just sits there staring at the end of the magical walking stick for a bit. I didn't write down what happens after that, but I think the spider for some reason fell into the bottomless pit.
Okay, cool.
It's a good job spiders can't climb up walls, isn't it? I think they cut the web down, yeah.
They cut the strings holding him up.
They got their mighty spears and they sliced the web. As you can tell, my enthusiasm is waning. So, well, we finally meet the mighty Gorax.
Mm-hmm.
The giant Gorax, whatever he is. I mean, he doesn't look that good. They somehow did, like, the size discrepancy really well.
Mm.
He actually looks giant, is good. But he doesn't look very good in the face. And he's a stereotypical giant, but he's eating from a bone that is much bigger than any of the bones in his body. Okay. Implying that there are creatures
much larger
far bigger than him that he somehow killed. And he's put the parents in the cage in the top of his cave because that's a logical thing for a giant to do. I don't know how he built this cage with his massive hands.
Massive hands, yeah.
This is what it's been all been mounted towards, Will.
All the dramatic tension has been building to this point.
The Ewoks are ready to slay the mighty Gorax.
The giant Gorax.
The giant mighty Gorax.
Mighty giant Gorax.
So, one of the Ewoks throws a small rock at him.
Yeah.
It is ineffective.
Who would have thought? Maybe this is what the kid was supposed to use his rock for. Just used it for the wrong thing.
You take the arrowhead out and it just stabs the giant 1,000 times.
Does the kid try shooting it with his blaster?
I think its battery has depleted.
The one shot.
Yes. So the mighty giant Gorax chases some of the Ewoks, and the kid and some of the other Ewoks work out how to get the kid up to the cage. And they use the giant axe as like a little seesaw. And one of the Ewoks climbs up a big rock. And before this is a 5-minute scene of, we should use the axe? What are we going to use the axe for? Oh, you mean we should use it like this?
Sort of nonsense. Yeah.
We get there eventually, and the kid stands on one end, and the two Ewoks jump onto the axe head, and it propels him up. And there's a very confusing moment where he reaches the cage, he grabs on, and he just climbs into the cage. And he just sits down with his parents.
So he's now just all he's achieved is putting himself in the cage.
That's what I thought initially. I was like, okay, he's condemned himself to death. But no, he took a rope up with him, luckily, and he ties the rope on and he slides down the rope and his parents come down as well. Oh, I forgot to mention that they left the little girl and the Ewok we're supposed to care about at the entrance of the cave because it's too dangerous. Why did you come? Who knows? Presumably it's because that shaman gave you a rock or something, gave you a feathery headdress, and that made you come. You had to come, otherwise we couldn't enter the land of the giant gore. I'm so done with this film. All right, let's pace through it.
How do they kill it in the end?
Well,
Just get to that bit.
Well, before that, I have to tell you the great tragedy that happens at the end of this film.
Oh no!
The woodcutter Ewok starts lashing furiously at the giant's foot with his small axe.
Amazing.
And the little fairy from earlier that you've probably forgotten about flies around his face. The giant flails about, punching the very obvious sides of the set. And as he punches the sides of the cave, just a pile of rocks just falls onto the woodcutter Ewok. And he's almost killed.
Oh,
well,
almost.
He's lying there taking his dying breath. So the giant Gorax runs away, and the 12-year-old kid, runs up to the dying woodcutter Ewok, and he's like, "You're gonna die. We have to get you some medicine or something. And I'm sorry we weren't such good friends. How will I live without you?" And woodcutter Ewok is like, he nobly says, "Yum yum yum," as if to say, "Once we were enemies, now we are brothers." And then he gives the kid his axe.
Yeah.
And the kid is like, "I can't take this. It's your axe." And the guy's like, "I'm clearly gonna die. Just take the axe."
Take my axe.
So he takes the axe and they exchange a knowing look as the kid's like, "Treasure this axe forever. It'll live long in my memory, and I'll never ever betray you. And I loved you like a father." And all this. It goes on too long. Ewok dies. It's very sad. So the parents and the Ewoks are planning to trip up the giant as he comes down the stairs, and there's a very long scene where the giant slowly walks down the stairs, and they like tie the rope around a rock, and they pull it tight, and then the giant walks down a bit further, and they pull it a bit tighter. The giant walks a bit further, and they pull it tighter some more, and then the giant gets to the rope, he trips over the rope, and he nearly falls into the infinite abyss, but he's like right on the edge. Then the Ewok with a magic walking stick points his magic walking stick at the ceiling and drops a rock on the giant Gorax. It is ineffective.
Not effective, yeah.
And then someone, I've just written, blasts him into the abyss. Possibly the guy with the magic walking stick. Possibly someone else. Couldn't tell you. He falls into the infinite abyss. The day is saved. Hip hip hooray. They
fights that spider.
So they realise that they've made a grave error cutting down that spider's web because they can't get across the little gap.
How did the giant get out? Because presumably he's too big to use the spider's web.
Yeah. I have no idea.
That's the only fault.
The only fault here. He can probably just done a big jump.
Yeah.
So they get across to the other side. But all is not over. The giant Gorax climbs up out of the infinite abyss.
Yeah.
I knew you're terrified and shuddering for the lives of these Ewoks.
Yeah.
And as he climbs out, the boy takes his axe that he will treasure forever and throws it into the back of the giant Gorax. And one small axe wound to the back
just
falls back into the infinite abyss. He falls to his death again.
Why didn't the kid use his axe?
Nope. We never see that axe again.
Yeah.
I think he left it in the tree. Then the narrator turns up after like half an hour of just not saying anything.
Do you think he was supposed to be narrating but got bored and just kind of gave up?
He's just so confused. And then I've written in capitals, it finally ends.
It finally ends.
I'd never watch this again. This is hands down the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, that's a big statement.
The holiday special. I bet the holiday special as well.
So I said I committed, Will, when we were planning that I was going to watch both of the Ewok movies.
You did.
This one broke me. I was quite happy to read the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, though, for the sequel.
Yeah.
Mainly because, like, in the opening of the... so the
What's
second
the
one,
subtitle of the second one again?
The Battle for Endor, or Battle of Endor. So in the sequel, the opening scene, the parents and the brother are both immediately killed. So there's a big fight at the beginning, and Wikipedia just has a sentence that's like, "Many Ewoks are killed." And I was like, maybe I should watch this one. But yeah, and then it turns out there's another human on the island that they know, and I don't want to tell you the story, Will. I never want to watch it. So yeah, it's
Sounds amazing.
It's horrible. I want to tell you some behind-the-scenes things.
Go
Well,
on.
it was mostly filmed in Parkland area near Skywalker Ranch, which basically means George Lucas filmed it out the back of his house.
Yep.
Even the trivia I found for this was the worst. Apparently, the actors wore blue pajamas under their Ewok suits.
Why?
Don't know.
Okay.
But
Was
they
it
did.
cold, maybe?
Some kind of uniform, I suppose.
Uniform.
Now, this explains a lot.
Okay. Was the writing on cocaine?
No. It was supposed to be half an hour long,
Yeah.
but the network wanted to fill a 2-hour
network.
slot. The network. They wanted to fill a 2-hour slot, which is why they do all these pointless things. So in half an hour, you could have they crash, some Ewoks go to the cave, they beat up the giant, they go home.
Mm.
But in 2 hours, that's no. So I feel like that's what happened. They had a half-hour script, and they're like, let's just put in a scene where the horse runs away.
Yeah.
Let's put in a scene where some fairies come. Let's put in a scene where Joe is so sad. And now, well, I know you have a burning question about this in the Star Wars universe. There's one thing that's niggling away in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
When is this set? Pre or post Return of the Jedi? And as I can tell that you're worrying about this.
Is it free?
Well, as I clicked on the article on the internet, the opening phrase was, "This has been a topic of much dispute." And I was immediately like, oh no, please.
Furious debate.
Please no.
Rages about this topic.
Well, you see, the Ewoks in this film have never seen humans in technology before, clearly pointing to the fact that it's pre-Return
That
of
was
the Jedi.
my reasoning.
However,
Oh no.
they have some human language.
No,
You
they don't.
see. Yes, they do. Shut up.
They'll
That's the narrator.
Occasionally they'll be like,
Rock. Implying that they've met humans before. Well, we will never truly know the date of this.
Masterpiece.
no, anything but that. So, yes, I have nothing else to say on this. Let us never speak of it again. Any questions?
Many. Too many. Whose idea was this?
George Lucas. He took full control to make a good
He
quality
wanted to
film.
make up for the holiday special, so he made that.
Yep.
Wow.
I would rather watch the holiday special.
No, you wouldn't.
If
Trust me.
No.
No. Trust me.
But if I'm going to watch nonsense, I want it to have some famous faces in it.
No, but the thing is, it's not people that you would recognise, because it's all like people who were famous in the 70s and 60s and 70s.
Yep. But yours didn't have an obnoxious child in it.
No, I guess not.
That's one
I
point
had
in my favour.
Chewie's son, but he wasn't really obnoxious because all he did was scream and scream and Wookie.
Yeah, I don't want to watch either of them ever, really. I feel like one day we have to watch Battle of Endor together,
Yeah.
just for the completionist. Yeah,
But I think on IMDb the holiday special is like 2.1,
really.
and both of the Ewok movies are 5.5.
I think the Ewok movies have their apologists, because there are people who saw them at the time and loved them.
Really?
I think so.
No, man.
Not for the holiday special.
Not for the holiday special.
So, Will, let's never speak of these again. We've been talking for a while. We could wrap up here. Or we can have a bash at the thing we discussed.
We can do
Discussing.
brief bash.
Alright. So because Star Wars The Past was the worst, and because they're making Star Wars 8 and 9 and an Obi-Wan spin-off and a Han Solo spin-off and
They're milking it for all it's got.
yep, we thought that we'd try and throw some good stories out there.
Yeah.
Because Will has an extensive knowledge of the expanded universe.
I have a slight knowledge.
And
it's
I-
far from extensive. My knowledge of the expanded universe is quite limited, but it exists. It's non-zero.
Better than mine. And I watched an Ewok movie once. So we're experts.
We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we thought we'd maybe propose a spin-off movie or a Star Wars movie of some kind and see if we can make a good one.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
Well, the
watch
main thing is, so in the expanded universe, which all of this got retconned by Disney.
Yep.
So the thing with the expanded universe is,
Yep.
the Empire are a lot more credible.
Yes.
Like, the Empire actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not like, oh, the evil Empire and the good rebellion. The thing is, when it switched from the Republic to the Empire, life for the average citizen didn't really change at all.
Right.
Except that, basically under, for example, the Republic, every planet would have its own laws.
Mhm.
So you could, like, go to one planet, do something illegal there, and then go to another planet and have what you did be
Okay.
Fine.
Right, yeah.
Whereas the Empire just sets the same laws for everyone.
Okay.
Which is sensible. Like,
Yep.
it makes sense. And also, the Rebellion, in the expanded universe, you learn that the Rebellion is basically a bunch of butthurt senators who got kicked out of power. Basically, when the Emperor took over, he basically took power away from the Senate, so the
Yes.
senators couldn't do anything. And a bunch of senators who were mad they didn't have power anymore formed the Rebellion.
Yes.
So it's not like these are good people fighting for freedom.
Yeah.
They're just annoyed they had their power taken away. Furthermore, most of the rebel soldiers are just murderers and rapists and criminals that they released.
Yeah.
So the Rebellion is not they're not good guys. But basically, I would like to see something where the Empire is a credible threat. Because,
Yeah.
like, in the films, like, the Empire's really... They don't know what they're doing. Like, okay, it's always like, the Empire's built some new massive weapon, and it gets blown up.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happens throughout Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Empire... I would like to see the Empire be a credible threat and actually fight well.
Yeah. Would you like to see a film from the Empire's point of view?
Yes, I would
Yeah?
very much like to see that.
Would
And
you
I think Admiral Thrawn is a good opportunity to do that.
I don't understand Star Wars rankings. I think we've discussed
He's
this before.
Grand Admiral, so
So-
he's like a head honcho.
He's in charge of a lot of stuff.
He's on side of a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Has he got any force powers?
No,
No lightsaber action?
no. Which I would rather, I'd rather see some regular guy
Yeah.
actually. Because all the films focus around like Jedi and the Force and things.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a non-Force user
Fair
in
enough.
a position of power and being a threat to Force users.
Yeah. That'd be cool. So you want a movie of him, like, trying to crush the rebellion, basically?
Yeah. But he comes about after the Empire falls apart. Or at least that's the books that I've read of him.
Okay.
It's after the Empire, or after the Emperor is killed, is him fighting the New Republic or whatever the hell it's called.
What are his motives? Is he trying to, like, fill the power vacuum and
Yeah.
be the leader?
Basically, yeah.
Cool.
A good film has to have like the enemy has to be credible, like,
Yep.
and you never get that in Star Wars.
No, I agree. They are all... I mean, apart from Darth Vader and the Emperor, like, your general Empire people
Yeah,
are just space Nazis.
yeah,
So would you have him win?
yeah. Because like in the books, he like does a lot of winning.
Yeah?
Because like in the expanded universe, it's not like Empire bad, rebellion good.
Yeah.
It's like a lot more nuanced,
Yeah.
which is good. Like, why did they have to take that away from the films?
And you got a bit of that, like, in Rogue One, didn't you? Because at the
No,
beginning
a
you
little
had
bit.
that rebellion guy, Cassian Andor, and he goes and shoots a guy in the back after he's been given the information.
Well, I mean that's okay.
It's like it's something, isn't it? It's a glimmer of that
Mm.
shining through.
Mm.
So you'd have it centered around Thrawn.
Basically, the content of the Thrawn books, I would
Right.
just make them into films.
Cool.
That's
So what is
essentially it.
What kind of stuff did he do in the Thrawn books?
So there's a bit where, because this goes back to what I was saying about why is it always like the Force users who have to be like the great movers and shakers, you know?
Yep.
Like he basically he rediscovers an animal that the Emperor knew about that basically negates Force powers when it's around.
Right.
So basically, Luke Skywalker is like being all like cocky and like, "Yeah, I'm a special snowflake Jedi. I can beat you," and then he just can't do anything.
Well, so it cancels out the Force.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's really amusing seeing the smug ass Jedi finally getting over on them.
Anything to add?
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence would have a leading role in my film, of course.
Obviously.
I don't know who should play.
Where would you put her? You've got to put her in somewhere, Will. That's the rules.
Gender swip. Actually, I'm pretty sure Grand Admiral Thrawn dies at the end,
Oh.
so we wouldn't have her as Grand Admiral Thrawn.
You just change the ending. You just hand glide off into space.
Yes, okay. We'll do that. I'd change the ending. I'd just make it so that Thrawn wins in the end and becomes leader
The
of the
new
galaxy.
Emperor.
And Jennifer Lawrence would then play Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
There we go.
But you could have her as the clones. Like the stormtroopers.
Well, they're all wearing their stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, well, you just write a scene where one of them pulls the helmet off. And they're just all Jennifer Lawrence.
They all take their helmets off. They
Yep.
suddenly aren't wearing helmets anymore in this film.
Alright, I'm going to pitch a movie to you, Will.
Got them.
Alright, here we go. Wait, when does all that take place? You said post-return.
That's after the Emperor was killed, yeah.
So with that, in the new canon, it has to take place between 6 and 7.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to pitch a Star Wars film.
Got them.
I want to get away from all of the... You know how all the Star Wars films about Skywalkers...
Well, that's my one, wasn't it?
Exactly. Will, you've jumped on my trend. Get away from the Skywalkers. I want to see something that happened when the Jedi were good at Jediing, right?
Yeah.
But not with any characters that we know. So I'm saying go 100 years in the past. Because The prequels are supposed to be when the Jedis are good at Jediing.
Well, it's supposed to be like towards the end of that when they're starting to get a bit corrupt and
Yeah.
things.
But
But it had to be even earlier than that.
I was going to say 100 years before the prequels.
Right.
Or like 50 years, something like that. Anyway, I'd like the idea of having 2 Jedi. You got a Master, and he's seen some things.
Is it just going to be like a buddy cop movie?
No.
Is it going to be like the wise old veteran Jedi Master and his cocky,
His plucky young
apprentice?
Yep, and it's his first day on the job. Yep. Oh no, this guy who hasn't really seen some things. This apprentice.
He doesn't have eyes.
He's like done a bit, but he's not really seen any proper action, and he doesn't really understand what all the fuss is about the dark side and why it's so bad. And then they go to a planet or end up in like a base somewhere, and they get stuck there, and basically they have to take down this like Sith training facility, and it's basically Die Hard. Well,
It's basically Die Hard,
it's
okay.
Die Hard in Star Wars universe. They have to fight their way out of this facility and kill as many people as possible. And then at some point, there's a cameo from Darth Plagueis.
I want to see that movie. I want to see the Darth Plagueis tragedy.
So it would be like, he'd be there as like a young Sith, and they'd have just like done the last battle and they've killed almost everyone. And Plagueis would just run into the room and he'd hold this guy who's dying, and the guy just wouldn't die. And as the Jedi are running away, it would be like, look at that Sith! It seems that he's keeping the ones he loves from dying. And that would be it. But yeah, I like the idea of strip them of their lightsabers, get them to use their ingenuity and their brains, and take down this Sith base,
Yeah, that's
hiding
nice.
in the air vents and stuff.
Who needs basically die? If Die Hard was a buddy cop movie
In
in
space.
space.
Tell me that's not a great pitch. It doesn't have to be a super weapon. It doesn't have to be there's an entire army against them. Just a facility where they're training up new Siths. There's like 20 people there. They're heavily guarded. All of them have lightsabers and force powers. Give them all like cool different force powers that we haven't seen before. And yeah, let these 2 guys fight their way out. And then this young apprentice can see how bad the dark side truly is and why you should never go there. And maybe you can have the veteran die at the end. And he was one day from retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's my pitch.
Nice.
2 Star Wars films. There you go. Go make them
Go
Disney.
Disney.
So how do we? I forgot what we do with these.
We don't do the leaderboards because special.
No. We make them all fight. This doesn't
We
work.
make them all fight. Wookiees versus Ewoks.
Wookiees versus Ewoks. But the family of Wookiees
Yeah.
versus the family of Ewoks.
Right. Okay.
So.
I mean, but the family of Wookiees is one really old guy and a kid
Yep.
and a woman.
Yep. So my
it's not
family
very
is
well.
a dad and
Yeah.
his 2 children.
Oh, that's not much better.
Do they? No, they get woodcutter Ewok and they get priestess Ewok
Well,
also.
are they part of that family though?
No, they're not part of the family. They're part of the caravan. Well,
Okay.
and then we can.
Wait,
have...
do I get Chewie?
Yes, you
Because if I have
Chewie.
Chewie, then I think.
Oh, you'd
mine
win
would
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you get Chewie, but I get the 2 children.
Does he have his? Does the kid have his blaster?
He has the blaster that's capable of blowing someone to dust. Yes, but it's probably out of battery, or it's just over there, or something, so he can't use it. That's how this film goes.
I think Chewie by himself would win.
I don't know. I think they'd probably have like a magic rock or something. That's what would happen. The Ewoks would throw
The Ewoks
small
would have
rocks.
some nonsense
They'd throw
given to them by the shaman.
Yes. And then Chewie would just come and crush them to death.
Good.
Yep, we did it.
We did it.
That worked well. All right, are we finished then?
No, we have the most important section to do.
Oh, of course we do. Oh, okay. Where do we put Jennifer Lawrence in the
In
holiday,
special. Oh, that's
Leia.
easy. That's easy.
Go
She
on.
could be the merchant. That guy, the guy who was based on Lando.
Excellent.
That's easy
Perfect.
choice.
All right then.
Because then she gets a little screen time,
Yep.
and she doesn't die.
Does anyone die in holiday special?
The
Those
stormtroopers
stormtroopers,
die.
presumably.
Yeah.
And then Ewok movie.
Yeah.
You can have priestess. You can have Shane.
Just so we understand, it wouldn't be an Ewok version of Jennifer Lawrence. It would just be Jennifer Lawrence.
in an Ewok suit.
No.
But because the Ewok suits are like 3 feet tall, she'd wear it like a jumper.
Alright, sure.
I thought that would be incredibly disturbing.
Well, there'd be no, like, headpiece. to
Okay,
rub
so
into
it's,
the head.
okay, that's fair enough.
It'd basically just be like a woolly jacket, essentially.
All right, yes. And all the other Ewoks wouldn't comment on the fact that she's wearing the skin of one of their brothers. Or you make her the mother, who has very little screen time. Or the 4-year-old's girl.
No, I mean, of those, probably the priestess.
I think I'd like to see Jennifer Lawrence reading the lines of a 4-year-old child. And I'd also like to see her in the scene with, like, the brother where he's like, I'll protect you! And she's clearly in her mid-20s. I'll be our mum and dad.
I'm much older than you.
It would make his performance even more patronising.
Even more ridiculous.
I quite like that idea.
I mean, then at least she doesn't have to wear a stupid Ewok
Nope.
jumper.
She does get to say the line, that's not a starship, that's a horse.
That's the best line. That's one of the best lines of dialogue. Alright, we'll go with the daughter.
Yep.
So she's Admiral Thrawn,
Yep.
Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Yes.
to give the full title in my fantastic
Oh yes,
film
you're
suggestion,
Thrawn.
which I definitely didn't just rip straight from the books.
And then in Die Hard, she can be Mrs.
Well,
McClane.
Die Hard, what are you doing?
Or Die Hard, a Star Wars story.
In your Die Hard, a Star Wars story.
She could be the apprentice. Oh, that's a reasonably good role. No chance of death. Lots of
Because
main character using ingenuity.
Darth Plagueis would. Oh, no, that's an even better idea. Yeah. Good.
We did it.
Wonderful.
Yes. We've done great things.
We have done good work today.
Certainly. Alright, you do the thing, I'll eat a biscuit.
I'm going to do the outro in Ewok language. Yum yum.
The Ewok gestures to his computer. Email us at practicallyeffective@gmail.com, he said.
I don't have any variations on either of those.
Just keep going, that's what the Ewok movie did.
Yum yum.
What's that? You want me to look up Practically FX on Twitter? Is that what you mean?
I nearly did the Jawa.
You mean you're at Practically Effective on Facebook? I can listen to your strange screeching on SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes?